Okay, we're back at it on the house project here, and I said I was going to start doing weekly updates and show what I got done that week. Okay, well, the reason for that is because this has been going really slow. Matter of fact, my daddy warned me I better not do this because I'm going to be embarrassed when I post just how little we got done that week. All right, so this is motivation for me to try to get more done. All right, because I got to put it out there and show the world, hey, this is what I got done in a week. All right, a big part of the problem, though, that's really slowing me up is I don't have much time to work on the house. Okay, I've got a normal job, 40 hours a week. I got an hour commute each way, so all said and done, I've got 50 hours in just on my regular job before I even start on this. Okay, well, Saturday's my day to really make a showing and get some stuff done, and for a combination of reasons, I just hadn't been getting a lot done on those Saturdays. Okay, so something I'm working hard on right now is working more efficiently. And this is something we can all do because, well, hey, most of us don't have that many hours a week to put in on a project. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is spend time during the week working on the little tasks that, they have to be done, but they're time consuming and slow me up from really getting some work done. And a great example, okay, we're getting ready to put pads in here. And that's my goal for this week. Get these concrete pads put in because there's going to be piers sitting on them for the porch. All right, so this has got to happen before we can continue on making progress. Now, it might not happen. We might get rained out today. There's a good chance of it. Got projects on the inside that I can work on a rainy day. That's fine. I got a backup plan. But I got to get this done just as soon as possible, just so overall progress can continue. Okay, well, I came over during the week, put my line back up. All right, that was simple, but it's just time consuming. Okay, and then I got the locations for the pads marked out and based on the line measured off on it. All right, then my daddy, he came in with the tractor this week and an auger. All right, he drilled out the holes where the pads are going to be. All right, he had to get the auger together. He had a new gearbox he was trying out, things like that, so it took him a little while to get all that together. All right, well, by us getting that done during the week, we weren't held up Saturday morning trying to get that done. All right, so that's a huge bonus right there as far as now we're ready to come in and just dig this out and get some concrete poured. All right, so that's what we're going to try to do. And again, hopefully we don't get rained out. And if we do, that'd be okay too. But there's a chance we might get it done. I don't know, it's starting to rain now. Let me get at this and see. Okay, that was progress. That was a good start to the morning. All right, and that was way easier than it might have been. It still wasn't fun, but we got an inch of rain yesterday yesterday evening. Okay, this ground was dry and it was hard. I mean, it was like brick. All right, so that was just enough to soften it up and made that a lot easier than it might have been. All right, so now we're ready to put in some grade stakes and get some concrete going in those holes. Well, that ended up going pretty well. As a matter of fact, it ended up going so well, I didn't want to stop and get the camera. I just wanted to keep going while the going was good. And I ended up getting all the pads poured. And what I did, and I should have showed this, but I didn't, Okay, I drove in stakes in the holes. Okay, so I had about 10 inches of stakes sticking up above the bottom of the hole. Okay, I set the top of the stake, grade stakes, to the level that I wanted them to be, the concrete, the finished pad. Right, and to get it to the right level, and this was the tricky part, I could have used my string. It's right about where it needs to be, but I ended up using a grade stake just because it's so convenient with the laser level, just to set it in place and just keep driving the stake to where it needs to be. Which, with where I had this set at, the top of the grade stake needed to be exactly 40 inches, which is where I got this, from below the level I wanted. Okay, I'm going to put block piers on top of the pads. Cement blocks, actually a little less than 8 inches on height, but they allow for mortar, so I think they allow 3/8 of an inch mortar. But when you calculate cement block, you just calculate it at 8 inch on height. Okay, so I want 5 courses of block, which will match up with the addition that I've put over here, and 5 courses of block, 40 inches. That'll get me to where I need to be, which is about where this line is. Okay, and I'm tying into an existing house. With the new construction, it isn't nearly as difficult, but because I'm tying in, I need what I'm building to match up to the level of what's already there. Okay, and I'd already done the math with this part of the porch that I put on, this part of being closed. Okay, this lined up perfectly with the existing, and tricky part, you have to know all of the pieces and the widths of all of them to know where you need to be. Okay, so for this enclosed part, I've got a 3/4 inch subfloor, and then I'm going to put 3/4 inch hardwood flooring on top of that, which is going to bring it up to 1.5 inches thick. Okay, then on the joists, floor joists and rim joists here, I've got 2x8s. 2x8s don't measure 2x8. They actually measure 1.5 inches by 7 1/4. Okay, so I had to know that in order to get everything right. It's basically starting with where you want it to finish at, and then calculating backwards to know where to put your block. Okay, well, with the porch, okay, I'm not going with the subfloor. I'm just going with 2x6s or 2x8s. I hadn't decided yet. They'll be treated because it's going to be exposed. It'll have a roof over it. Okay, well, this right here ends up at 1.5 inches. By the time I put my flooring on top of the subfloor, this is already 1.5 inches. Okay, so I want my joists for the addition, for the extension on the porch, to be the exact same height as these joists. All right, where it got tricky was at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to have a 2x whatever sill plate at the bottom, treated material, which all of that's going to be treated, and I don't even need the sill plate. It's just going to provide more bearing surface when sitting on the block. Okay, for this I used 1x material, which is actually 3/4 of an inch. And the reason I did that was 1.5 inch material would have been 1/4 of an inch too thick with the brick and where it was going to finish out at to come up right with the porch. Okay, so I had to allow for an extra 3/4 of an inch. Anyway, I'd already done all the math earlier this week. I already knew exactly where I needed to be. I'd already taken my time and thought hard about this and knew how I was going to get to the level I needed. Well, everything just fell into place today. Okay, and that's what I meant about working more efficiently. Okay, because I had taken the time to do all of that earlier, there wasn't anything to think about today. I could just go to work and get it done, which is good. Because when you're working and it's hot and you're tired, that's not the time to be doing math and trying to figure things out. That's when we make mistakes, when we're tired. Okay, so I had all of that in place. And I was just blessed with an absolutely gorgeous day to do this on too. I think it was 85 today, maybe 86. That's way better than 96, which is what it's been being. So yeah, everything worked out perfect today. And my help showed back up, which worked out good. As a matter of fact, I've already carried him home and dropped him off. while I was digging the holes out and getting that right, I put him to work on something else, which was putting tar around the cement block for the addition. And the reason for that is to seal up the block. Cement block, when it's at ground level or below ground level, just below it, it gets brittle, and the reason for that is it holds moisture. Concrete absorbs moisture. In the wintertime, when it freezes, that moisture expands and it makes the block very brittle. Okay, so I put tar on there to seal that right at where ground level is going to be, and then however far below there, which we don't get really cold weather here or hard freezes. I'm in South Carolina. I mean, it might get down to single digits 1 or 2 nights a year. Up north, cement block's not going to last nearly as long. As a matter of fact, if I lived any further north or in the mountains, I'd use concrete, straight concrete instead of block, because the block will become brittle with freezes. Well, anyway, that sealant, it'll prevent it from absorbing moisture from the ground right there, so it's just going to remain stable for a lot longer. And with that done, now we can get dirt drug around there and start working on some of the grading for the yard and things like that. And that's just something just been needing to get done. Well, my help showed up, and I put him on it, he got it done. And then he helped me out some with the holes after he finished that, or with the concrete. And I just used Quikrete for that, mixed it up in the wheelbarrow, and then poured it until it was level with the grade stakes that I had in the hole. And hey, it all worked out. And now, since all that's done, that was my goal for today, to get those pads done, because that was holding up progress. With those done, now after the concrete sets, we can come in next week, we can put the block in, get those set to the right level. That'll be this coming weekend. After that, I can finish up the framing. Okay, so everything's falling in place with that. And now I've got the rest of the day that I can go in here and work on something else, and it's not 100 degrees. I actually feel like working on something else. So that really paid off for me, working on this some during the week, getting some of those little details out of the way and figuring out exactly how I was going to do this, getting my game plan together, so that when I showed up this morning, I could hit the ground running. And I did. And that auger saved me a ton of work too. My dad really helped me out with that one. The rain that we got yesterday, it softened up the ground a good bit. The dirt still didn't just fall out of those holes, but it was way better. So yeah, everything just fell into place today. And now I'm gonna go inside here and work on some of these windows. I've got some work I need to do on those, shimming those up. Okay, that's what I got done this week. Oh, I also got that third wall in too this week. So it was a good week. And now I got to start working on a game plan for next week. God bless and have a good day.